Good afternoon, and welcome to the 360-degree Customer View Closing the Loop webinar. I'm Brian Gernon, Account Executive at Affinity. We're a First Derivatives company. We're excited to add TechGuild's capability and experience to ours. At Affinity, we make great software. We are a First Derivatives company, provider of the world's fastest time series database to 19 of the 20 of the world's top IoT and capital market customers. Affinity has served custom development in the GTA and Canada for 27 years, building custom solutions like big data analytics, custom modernization, and testing as a service. Our goal is to help companies have the best managed applications with minimal disruption and least risk. I'm pleased to be joined today by Dennis Augustine, founder and senior solutions architect at TechGuild. Affinity, in our ongoing effort to bring clients best-of-breed digital solutions, has partnered with TechGuild to leverage their expertise with the Sitecore Experience platform. We're excited about what TechGuild brings to the table in terms of their extensive experience designing and implementing Sitecore projects, e-commerce enabling organizations, equipped sites with best-of-breed enterprise search, CRM and ERP integrations, SEO and SEM support, and much more. Before we begin, some housekeeping items. Today's session will be recorded. We'll post the recording, links, and other resources on the Affinity and TechGuild websites, and I'll let you know more about where you can access these at the end of the presentation. You're listening in using the phone by default. Any questions can be submitted using the questions pane of the control panel. You may send your questions in anytime during the presentation. We will collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation, or we will follow up with you personally afterwards. Now, I would like to introduce Dennis Augustine, co-founder and senior solutions architect at TechGuild.
All right, thank you very much, Brian. I'll echo Brian's excitement about TechGuild joining Affinity in this partnership. We are really excited about what we're able to bring to the table with regards to Sitecore development in particular. I know Affinity has a large tool set of CMSs and custom application developers, UX, and all of that sort of skill. And we're here to really just augment their capability on the Sitecore end of things. Now, with regards to what we'll cover here today, as Brian mentioned, the title of the webinar is the 360 view of the customer. So we're going to talk about what that really means and why it matters in this, what Forrester's has called the age of the customer. It's going to be a few buzzwords, and I think the digital space is rife with buzzwords, but we'll try to make that a little bit more practical as we go through and concrete, so that we'll explain what they mean and really what they matter, and so we know why we're talking about the things we're talking about. We'll look at the 360 view. We're going to look at what digital maturity really means, and we've heard the term, organizational maturity in a number of contexts. We're talking about digital maturity and what that means for your online efforts to market your company, where your company really should be at this stage in the game, and how you're going to get there. So where are you in the digital maturity landscape? I want to help you identify that and have a real understanding of what the road to digital maturity looks like for your company. What steps do you have to take to get the kinds of capabilities that you need to have to compete in today's landscape? So the agenda for today, as I mentioned, is going to be about the 360 customer view. We'll look at the evolution of digital, the history of it from its inception back on the dawn of the internet, and some of you, like myself, are just barely old enough, to remember those good old days, and where we've come today as a result of that transition. We've come a long way, and there's things that we have to be aware of, our capabilities that we need at this time. We'll have a look at context marketing and what that means. That's a buzzword, yeah. But it's something that you're going to hear quite often right now. Context marketing. What does that mean, and what do we need to do to take care of that? The road to digital maturity, as I mentioned, we'll take some time for questions, and then share some resources and suggest some action items for you on your journey. So let's get right into it. What is the 360 customer view? And by customer, in this context, I don't just mean, somebody, a lot of you on this will be associations or charities, and you might not consider the people you interact with customers in the traditional e-commerce sense of the word. They're not necessarily buying products, and they might not be buying those sort of the traditional e-commerce products. But a customer is anybody you interact with, anybody that interacts with your organization in a value-driven kind of relationship. So that's both internal and external. It's the members of your association. It's the people who buy stuff. It's your employees. Everybody who you interact with really in this context is your customer. So we're going to try to make that a little bit more concrete for you today. Now, discussing these things in the 360 customer view, I want to take it out of the abstract. I think oftentimes when we talk about marketing and targeting certain demographics, we talk about very large abstract demographic blocks, right? And what we want to do is to really take it out from the large abstract blocks to talk about a more personal targeting of customers. So when we're targeting customers, we develop personas for those customers so that we're really thinking of individuals and their situation. So that makes it concrete and really helps us to get in mind the actions we need to meet those people in very real ways. So let's go through a little bit of scenario. Let's consider this very real world scenario. You're a salesperson in a car dealership. A young family walks into your showroom, and they're looking for a good family car. They've got a young daughter. They are excited. Maybe they have a child on the way. They're active outdoor people. They like to drive their kids, maybe not like to, but sometimes they drive their kids to soccer practice or to picnics. Do you show them the entire collection in your dealership? Do you show them the high-performance sports coupe? Of course not. You don't do those things because those things aren't relevant to where they are. So why would you do the same sort of thing with your website? And that's really what we're faced with. You've seen a lot of these home pages for websites where pretty much they'll put everything and anything that the customer does into one spot. It's distracting. It doesn't speak necessarily to where the person is. You're better off as that salesperson focusing on something more appropriate to their needs. Maybe you'll show them the fuel-efficient SUV. That seems to make a little bit more sense. So really understanding the customer's context helps us to focus our efforts to where they are and to what they really need. And that's what the 360 customer view is about. Engaging with everything the customer needs, understanding things like what motivates the customer. What are their interests? What have they bought in the past? What are their interests on social media, perhaps? Are there members of certain groups, certain verticals that you want to target? What do people like them? And you've seen this happen over and over. If you use Amazon, you'll see, folks who bought this book have also bought things like this. Because judging how people will behave from the activity of people like them is also a useful metric for kind of discovering what they need. All of those kind of questions are things we have to ask as a smart salesperson to adjust our message for where our customers are at. I mentioned Amazon, and that's going to be an experience that many of you are familiar with. We've gone through a real transformation, and companies like Amazon marked the beginning of what we want to call the digital marketing age, and they're on the cutting edge of things like personalization. Forrester's places Amazon firmly in what we're calling the age of the customer, which they have said began around 2010, and that was more dynamic online presences like Macy's, Salesforce, the USAA, Amazon. So we've moved from a manufacturing mindset to a distribution and information age with the internet, and now we're here on a customer-focused, very personalized, and targeted way of dealing with our customers, interacting with our customers. It's a game changer. And those companies who embrace this sort of transformation are prospering, and those who do not most definitely will be left behind. In a recent study by eConsultancy, this was back in April of 2013, they found that people or customers, rather organizations that really embraced that challenge of personalization achieved on average a 19% increase in their ROI. That's quite extraordinary. On your bottom line, if you're talking about a few $million and we're talking about a 19% increase, that's a significant increase. That's return on investment, not just the spend, but the investment that they've made in these platforms. And as I said, companies that embrace that are increasing, and you have to ask yourself at this point, what side of that equation do you really want to be on? And I would suggest that you probably want to be on the upward tick rather than the downward tick at this time. The sorts of information that you'll find in this digital customer context has been really expanded today. It's much broader than it's ever been. Our information footprint is so much broader than we've ever had. We have on-site and off-site interactions with companies. I mean on-site, or I would say on-site when I mean the website, on the web or in the real world, bricks and mortars, point of sale, social media interactions and profiles, inbound and outbound email campaigns, call centers and CRMs. All of this data is feeding in. Your e-commerce purchases, the product that you viewed, your online and offline activity there, organic and paid search, all of these things kind of fit into that overall picture of your context and what really surrounds you as a customer right now. I'll continue as well with some of these other things. Geo-IP, that's another, especially when we're talking about mobile information. So we're talking about mobile devices. Where are you? Not just who you are, but where are you? What are the capabilities of the device that you're on? That also forms part of your context as a customer now as well. So it's not just about you, but it's about your devices, about the platforms where you consume those things, the groups that you belong to, your overall persona. So integrating all of those disparate bits of information is really what the customer context is about. This slide here shows us a little bit of that progression that we saw from the time of the internet, or the information age rather, from the time of the information age leading right up until the time of the age of the customer, as Forresters would have put it. So content management and digital marketing, that kind of marked the end of the information age per se. We've gone from static websites to more dynamic websites with things like technologies like .NET, Cold Fusion. People were writing dynamic sites, and that was really cool and interesting. And then there became a need for customers and groups, for content managers to be able to change their content a little bit more easily. The web and content management is all about change, and so we introduced systems to manage that. That's when Sitecore started some years back, and we'll talk a little bit about Sitecore a little bit later on. And then we see groups like Google, companies like Google, with their AdWords and the SEO and SEM activities really start to take shape in the digital marketing space. Enter the age of the customer, where context marketing now becomes much more important. The need for us to understand where the customer is, that's an essential step along the roadmap. And now, the next phase. The future really is what we're calling brand experience. And that's, once again, another buzzword, but what that really does mean, brand experience, is where it goes beyond just the targeting on an online sense, but introducing those other channels. And also integrating that not just into your electronic efforts, but also to how your company does business. Because you can't just drop a piece of technology into somebody's workplace and expect that's going to be transformative. You have to have business processes and attitudes that also match that. So when you find companies that are really embracing that right across the board, we really get into a kind of a full brand experience where people engage with the company's brand. That same experience that they get online is the same experience and personalization they get when they call the call center. It reaches right across their organization. So we have a few different phases there that kind of map very nicely to this path that we see. A phase where we're looking to attract people to our business online. A phase in the context marketing where we're targeting them to convert them from one type of customer to engage with them, to convert deals, close deals, and then a point at which we advocate in this next phase for our brand, and we really kind of help the user get a feel for the company as an entity, almost as a person. We know that companies, when we really get to know them, they take on a character. We think of companies like Microsoft or Amazon or Google as actually having characters. Google actually has one of their catchphrases is "Don't be evil." That's a personal characteristic. So really that brand experience personalizes your company and gives it a character for your customer. So context marketing then. Context marketing really is that thing that integrates all of those different pieces of information we talked about in the customer's context, takes those into account and personalizes the user's experience for where they are. It personalizes, but not only that, but it goes beyond that to optimizing your website and your efforts. You'll know about things like A/B testing, where we'll put up 2 different versions of a page, for example, and determine which one is going to appeal to the user a little bit better. So that optimization, that dynamic optimization, is also part of context marketing. And it enables us to provide a simpler, more focused experience to the users. So no longer do we have to have home pages that include everything and anything. But rather our websites become tools for discovering what the user is. It's not just a tool for presenting information, but it's a tool for discovering who the user is. By their behavior, by how they interact with the content, I can get to know a lot more about them. So, back to the roadmap. If this is the age of the customer, you should be right around here, right now. You should be personalizing the user's experience to where they are, understanding that, having your site and all of the places that deliver your content really respond to the user. You should be there, but you probably are not there. It's about 15% of enterprise customers at this stage who are sophisticated customers who should be there are there. So about 85% of you aren't there. We ourselves, don't feel badly about it. We ourselves are just engaging on that because it's a process. You have to build that into your operations. You have to build it into your company. It's a process and it's a roadmap that you need to take steps to get there. So don't feel discouraged that you're not there quite yet, but you should be there. And let's going to show you how to get there. Some of the essential capabilities, we're going to go through this roadmap and talk about steps on how we're going to get there. We're going to need some essential capabilities in order to get there from a technology standpoint, from a process standpoint. We're going to need the right platform, the right technology platform. Is it WordPress? Is it Drupal? What is it? What are we going to use to deliver that content? I suggest that you're going to need the right partner, somebody with experience in the space. I think, obviously, I'm going to say that Affinity and Tech Guilds are great choices there, but we'll talk a little bit more about why that may be true. And you're going to need a plan. Nothing is going to succeed without plan and concrete steps to get there. So what are the essential capabilities we're going to have to address? I'll run down a few of them. Things like behavioral analytics and profiling. Have your technology, have your platform be able to understand what the user is doing, and then to determine what kind of profiles they really belong to, what personas they belong to, and then to deliver the right content for that persona. But have to analyze the path that the user takes through your site. Where are they dropping off when they visit your site? Are they just going to the search page and then disappearing? That's important information for you to take into account when you're working with your content. You have to be able to personalize dynamically the content for the user. Optimize it, as I said, with A/B testing and strategies like that. We're going to have to integrate that, and it's a good idea to integrate that with your campaign management. So you're doing perhaps an email blast. Where does that end up? Where does that intelligence end up? Was it successful? Was your spend worth it? And all of that are essential capabilities that you need to do to be able to really close the loop and to have that full view, not only of the customer, but of your efforts. Integrating CRM and ERP so that when somebody calls into the call center and inquires about a certain product, perhaps that's going to enhance your information about the user so that when they visit the website and log in, you'll show them a different set of products, or perhaps supplies that go with that product, or different groups that they might be a member of. All of these sorts of things. Integrated search and analytics, essential tools. As I mentioned, choosing the right platform is essential, is very important. Your platform should be full-featured. It should be tightly integrated. All of the different pieces really should work together efficiently. Your platform should be sensitive to the context of the marketing context. And I suggest that your platform should be something where, from a technical perspective, it's committed to really being a leader. So whatever platform you choose, you really want it to be pushing the envelope. Modern CMS platforms, and I'm going to, and you're probably going to guess by now, but what I'm talking about right here is Sitecore. It really should provide a full 360 view of the customer interactions. So you'll want a centralized dashboard that's going to present to you everything in one spot that the customer, their profile is really all about. You don't want to go to the CMS for one piece of information, to the ERP for a different piece of information, to the website and the analytics for another piece, but to be able to get a dashboard and a full view of what the customer is all about, very, very important, and really helps to enable your sales efforts. To dynamically enable, to market, do that dynamic marketing, you have to be able to map their behavior to those personas, as I mentioned, and personalize their campaigns. I'm going to flip through a couple other things that I think are very important. Certainly analytics being key on there. Path analysis, as I mentioned, is the thing where we talk about, for example, when a customer drops off of the site, content that results in sales as opposed to content that results in drop-offs. Where is your marketing and content development efforts best spent? Your analytics, the analytics in your platform really are going to be able to tell you just that. Marketing automation, cross-channel, federated experience management. There's a hell of a buzzword in and of itself. What that really means is, are you able to draw in content from other sources and to be able to orchestrate that content from within a single platform? So you have your Facebook channel, you have your Twitter channel, you have your website. Well, it'd be nice if you could orchestrate all of that from one spot and you didn't have to manage content in a number of different places. And it'd be nice if all of those places also responded to the intelligence that you collected about the user. So choosing the right platform. If you were to put together all of those pieces and to patch them together, you might end up with something that looks a little bit like this. It's a little bit of a patchwork quilt, and that often happens naturally when we start to tie in. For example, you go to one place for email marketing, you go to another place for analytics, you go to another place for content management, and you end up with a bit of a Frankenstein or a Frankenduck in this case. Well, I suggest that you really want something that looks a little bit more like this, and that's what Sitecore brings to the table. It's a platform that, in a very tightly integrated way, brings all of those things together. Content management, analytics, email marketing, personalization, market automation, the CRM and ERP integration, print, even things such as point of sale and customer service information. If you're talking about integrating with something like Dynamics AX for retail, that brings all of those capabilities right into Sitecore and allows you to personalize all of those things. So Sitecore sits right in the middle and brings all of those elements together in a consistent and integrated way. Of course, as I mentioned, these things, you could do all of these things on your own. You could roll your own, Affinity offers a lot of great CMS offerings, custom development, and Sitecore's not going to be right for everyone. But I think, it's one of those platforms that makes your job a lot easier and that it gives you everything you need right in one box. It's a market leader. As recently as 2015, was just last year's Gartner's report for WCMS. It's overtaken Adobe, and I think hopefully you can see that on your screens. It's overtaken Adobe as a leader, certainly exceeded in ability to execute, which really speaks to the ease of implementation rather than having to patch together all of those different elements. And it's challenging, certainly, on the completeness of the vision and the feature set. So very well-respected enterprise CMS platform there. So how does Sitecore help then? In your attract, convert, and advocate phases, there's a number of offerings, and I think that if some of you have heard about Sitecore before in the past, it's been difficult to enter. It's a relatively heavy enterprise-level product. Well, with the advent of the latest version, 8.1, and their rejigging of all of their licensing model, we now have some more easy-to-access ways into Sitecore. They come up with, if you're in that attract, just the beginning phases, there is Sitecore XM, which is just a digital marketing kind of piece and web content management with some light in-session personalization. So it's a leaner model. It's about half the price of the full XP suite. A very nice entry point for a lot of users who are just beginning on that medium side of the enterprise scale. Sitecore XP, which is the experience platform. So XM is experience management. Sitecore XP is the experience platform, and it speaks to the entire suite of personalization, social integration, social media integration, federated experience. That federated experience management means that you can, for example, on your WordPress site, and I'm stealing Brian's thunder there, but on your WordPress site, you can bring some of that content into Sitecore, yes, but also to be able to personalize it on that other end as well, and bring your analytics back into Sitecore for you to be able to analyze. And then when we get into that full brand experience, we extend the capabilities, and there's certain add-ons you can tack onto the Sitecore XP, which speak to other channels, email marketing with Email Experience Manager. There is a print experience manager as well, which enables you to turn all of your web content dynamically into print-ready content. So that's for physical print, so we're talking PDFs. We can prepare things for print through that. point of sale, e-commerce, call center information, all of that sort of stuff is in this scale there for you. Choosing your right partners. Now, as I said, I'd suggest that the right partners for you are Affinity and Tech Guilds. Well, why is that? We have, as Tech Guilds, we have a wealth of experience with regard to getting people on this roadmap. We've done a lot of migration projects, so if you are on another platform, Extron, WordPress, wherever you are, well, we have the processes in place to enable you to do some worry-free, trouble-free migrations and upgrades, so your operations continue as they do. We have tools and practices that complement that. We stand ready to train your IT and marketing departments. So important to really get marketing engaged here. And for me, I think that the CMS really is a tool for marketing, not for IT. And so marketing really is the one who has to buy into this, into the platform, and really to see the value. And so we focus on really enabling marketing to understand how that context marketing works and how they're going to really work with the system to meet their campaign objectives. We'll offer some managed SEO and SEM services, so search engine optimization and search engine marketing. So that is optimizing your web content so that you have better search results with Google, or search engine marketing so that once, what kind of keywords do you market towards? What does the landing page look like? How is it dynamically optimized so that your campaign is the most productive? And all of those things are elements that we have experience managing, so we can show you how to do it or manage a campaign for you. Of course, custom application development. When Sitecore doesn't meet your needs, we'll be able to fill those needs with the talented developers that we have on staff here. And ongoing support. You won't be on your own in this journey. We're here for you along the way from an operational perspective. Affinity also has a wealth of experience with the whole modernization and digital strategy in that whole space. So we're not just going to just take a job and leave it there, but rather to show you the roadmap, the full roadmap for how you get from here to there. I'm also really happy to announce that Tech Guilds, we're starting a membership accelerator alpha for Sitecore. Some of you who are associations will be familiar with platforms like Blackbaud, which focus on membership management for associations. Well, if you're working with Sitecore, you have a really powerful platform, but you have to roll your own for a lot of those sorts of features. And so Tech Guilds has undertaken, since we have a lot of association customers, people like the Canadian Nurses Association, ARIA, and so forth, we've undertaken to start this accelerator. So any of you who are interested in getting on board with that, what we're going to be doing is to be reaching out to you, looking at some of the competitive products, and then building an accelerator that's going to be able to plug and play right into Sitecore, so you get all of those wonderful membership management features, and that they will be continuously upgraded, so you always have the best in class. They'll integrate with your various CRMs. We're going to start with Dynamic CRM, but the other ones are certainly in scope as well. So choosing the right partner for your vertical is very important, and if you're in that association vertical especially, we have a special offering for you, so please do reach out to us on that front as well. So the last thing you need, you certainly need the right capabilities. As we said, you're going to need the right platform, choose the right partner, and lastly, plan your roadmap. Honestly assess your current capabilities, your current state, and as I said, I think most of you will find that you're not quite there with regard to context marketing. That is a perpetual phase 2 for a lot of websites that just never kind of comes, or I should say the mythical phase 2 that never really quite gets there. And when you do plan your roadmap, and we like to really encourage our customers to do this, to stay focused on small steps that speak directly to ROI, to your return on investment. And we can go through and you can find things to tweak in the style of your website and buttons to change and images to change and try this content and try that content. But focusing on, for example, driving traffic towards that, that sign-up form, towards that call to action is so much more of higher value and really gets some of your higher-up stakeholders a little bit more motivated when they start to see that return on their investment. So we will develop a road plan that stays focused on that ROI and really measurable steps where we can demonstrate our success and value. Take those small steps along the way. And then lastly, when you get into that digital maturity stage, when you really want to take it to that next level, you have to build that maturity into your organization. So really develop a plan at this point to educate marketing, to educate your e-com team, to educate your IT team, and to build those things into your processes. I hope that really gives you at least an overview as to where things need to be for your organization and take to heart some of those practical steps as to how you can get there, assess where you are, and reach out to us. We'll be happy to really consult and to help you draw out that roadmap for you. So that is what I have to say today. I want to thank you for your time. I'm going to hand over to Brian, who is then going to open up for some questions, which hopefully I can answer.
Thank you, Dennis. We're now going to begin answering the questions submitted during today's presentation. As a reminder, you can still submit questions through the questions pane in your attendee control panel, but let's start with the first one here, Dennis. Our first question is from Miriam. Thank you, Miriam. Her question is, where do Web 2.0 and social media fit in the roadmap that you spoke about?
Well, Web 2.0 is another one of those nice buzzwords that fits right into, I guess, into the digital marketing section of the roadmap. And that is something really that talks more about the interactive, dynamic web, and it's very much UX focused. Right? Social media takes us definitely into the space of context marketing, and that is really in this age, fits squarely into the age of the customer from a roadmap perspective. Social media integration is something where you should definitely be in. I'll go back to Sitecore. There again, there's some really great tools right out of the box in Sitecore that bring that social media feed right into your analytics, so I could personalize right out of the box by, is it a married person or not? I might show them the family getaway rather than to show them, the adventurer getaway. So it really depends on those sorts of things, but social media definitely fits right into that context marketing and the age of the customer.
Thank you. Thanks, Dennis. Dennis, our next question is from Sam. Sam's question is, we already have a CMS system in place called Kentico. What would be the best way for us to get started?
Well, first of all, just get rid of it right away. Of course, I'm kidding, but you can keep it. I think the best thing for you to get started is to stay with it right now and then look at your roadmap. I would not suggest dropping anything right away. The first place for you to get started in any journey is to figure out where you are and where you're going. So get started with your roadmap. We can phase in other technologies. Something like Sitecore with the Federated Experience Manager is great because you don't have to get rid of your Kentico site or your WordPress site or your other properties. You can extend the capabilities of Sitecore and reach out to those platforms to make them part of your overall, kind of customer experience management. So start off with a plan. Don't get married to a technology right away. Focus on the ROI. And if you find a platform like Sitecore that does a lot of those things for you, then integrate there. And we can show you ways to get there without having to make wholesale or painful changes from a technology standpoint. Thank you.
Excellent. We have a question here from Greg, and Greg's asking you, Dennis, today, can you tell us a little bit more about the association package for Sitecore? How can we join the Alpha program?
Oh, well, that's pretty handy. I'm going to, you can join the Alpha program. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you more about it. First, I'll tell you more about it. It's, like we said, it's going to be focused on associations. It's a package for Sitecore, of course, as we already mentioned. But we're going to include things like membership management, certification, all of the good tools that you'll need to be able to kind of stratify your different groups within your association and to market towards them. And then we're really looking to hear from you. We're certainly going to adopt a lot of the best features that we can find in platforms like Blackbaud and in other kind of association management software and CMSs. But we're really looking to you to discover what you need. And that first Alpha group is going to be very important to us as well. So if you're interested in that, I think it's Greg, is it?
Greg, yeah.
Greg, if you're interested in that, Greg, please do email me, and we'll have a slide up in a second where you can email Brian or myself to get on board with the Alpha. So do that, please.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Dennis, we have one more question here, and this question is from George. George's question is, Dennis, this sounds great, but how does it work for people that don't log in?
Well, yeah, that is a good question, and I think George has a bit of a technical background, so George will want to hear things about session management. And with Sitecore, we can target customers and personalize them whether or not they are logged in. So Sitecore also supports cookieless sessions, and we have some great ways of managing that. So whether the user is logged in or has an account, you can personalize for them in all of the versions, in both the XM and the XP, the Experience Management and Experience Platform versions of Sitecore. You can do some personalization based on their behavior, whether they're logged in or not. So we've got you covered in both of those cases.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You are most welcome.
I don't see any other questions here right now, so maybe if we can proceed, we'll continue to wrap things up.
Okay, sure.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dennis, and thank you, everyone, for attending today's webinar, 360-Degree Customer View, Close the Loop. If you have any questions, please contact me, Brian, or Dennis with our contact information on the following slide. These resources that we're showing on the screen right now are available on both of the websites following this presentation, and you will also receive a follow-up email to reiterate this information within the next 24 to 48 hours. Hopefully you take advantage of these resources, and hopefully you have a chance to ask us any more questions. But as an action item, we're going to follow up maybe with you in the future for the assessment that Dennis spoke about earlier, or for the Alpha program, for the membership accelerator, or to do a demo of Sitecore for your own organization. Both mine and Dennis's contact information is included on this screen, and that's it. On behalf of Affinity Systems and Tech Guild and our presenter, Dennis, thank you for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you.